Hello, my name is Jessica Young, and this is my Math All Around Us Learning Center video for ELE 5130. Math is all around us. One of my favorite questions I get asked, I feel like I get asked this at least 2 or 3 times a year by students, is when are we ever going to use this in the real world? And to me, I have found that to be a challenge. I like it. I feel like it is a challenge to me to explain to them and show them throughout the year of when they're going to use this. I always look at word problems, and while yes, in math class we are solving word problems, it's not just about the word problem itself. It's learning how to break down that word problem and see what makes sense. What do we need? What do we not need? What is the question really asking us? What do we really need to know? And then those skills of problem solving will translate onto the playground or into if they're on a sports team. And then as they grow and go into the real world, just having that base knowledge of how to problem solve correctly and effectively is really important. Logical reasoning is also a big one where we see math more than just inside of the classroom. It's a matter of, does this make sense? Is it logical? And students, that is a skill that has to be taught. And so this is just where we will see that. And I really enjoy making sure they understand that. And then it can build everyday skills. So fourth grade students are really getting a good understanding of money and why it's important. So I relate what we're doing to budgeting. Sometimes it's with bills and how much cars cost, things like that. We'll see that in word problems sometimes, and they get really like, wow, that's a lot of money. And I'm like, yes, this is things that we are looking at in the real world. And so it's just really neat for them to see that. But then I can also tie it into like if they have candy or toys and they want to split it between their friends, we don't necessarily hear the division word, even though that is division. So it is used outside of the math classroom. And then it can build confidence. When students know that their problem solving skills are getting better, when they just find themselves using math outside of the classroom and they're doing it well, it just builds that confidence and that they know they can do that. And I just think that's really important. For a get to know you activity, I like doing these. These help build rapport with the classroom. Students, if they don't trust you, they're not going to open up to you, and it's going to make the class year go really hard. And so when you build that rapport, you build that positive energy, and then it just makes the kids excited to come to school, and they want to open up to you. They want to do well. And in return, I get excited to see them. They know I'm excited. I always have a smile on my face. And so I just think that's really important. And then if you do an activity, it helps the class learn about each other, and it's usually fun and it's positive, and it's just a way to get the kids moving and excited for the new school year. In the past, I have done a bingo activity, and it has never really been related specifically to a math standard. And I really chose to use this activity for this class to find something I could do for next school year as a way to get to know them. So I pulled on my bingo card questions and figured out how could I make this relate to math. So I chose the math standard MD.4 because measurement and data standards are a little bit hard to incorporate since they're not hit as hard during the regular, like the standards that we are expected to cover. And so I chose this one. I'm calling it the All About Us activity. It's it'll be engaging. There'll be a lot of collaboration. It's relevant to math standards and real life. And there can be a cultural relevance piece built into it. So with bingo, there's questions, you go around, you find someone who answers that, and you try to get your bingo card. For this particular activity, it will be taking those questions, but then having students work together. So it'll be 2 students for one question, and they go around to each student in their class to ask a specific question. The example in here is, what is your favorite subject? But to be able to tie this into cultural relevance would be to have questions related to holidays and also questions just related to family. So when I do bingo, a lot of times students, when it comes to a siblings question, some students tell me, well, what about my step siblings? Do they count as my siblings, even though I see them sometimes at one parent's house, but not at the other? And I've had students ask me, well, but what about my cousins? I live close to my cousins. They're like my siblings. So I like to use this to tie in to let them know that if they consider those cousins, those step siblings, whatever the other children are, their siblings, I want them to count them. This is not meant to be confined to a specific box. I like to take these activities, especially these questions, and take it outside of such a strict box. And so it allows the students, whatever they consider to count for that question. I think that's really important. And then for the hands-on station, we would take the answers to our Get to Know Us activity, and then we would make the line plot or the bar graphs. So this would allow for teamwork and collaboration, also for some creativity. It would just be really fun, especially that first week of school. We're all coming back in, trying to get used to each other, and just being back in school. So this would be a really fun, low-stress activity, and it can build positive relationships because we're getting to know each other, and it's, oh, we have this in common, or hey, I've never thought about that, or I've never heard of that food. Can you tell me about it? So this would be a really great way to do that. For the standard alignment, so MD.4 is where they can represent and interpret data. They collect data. They can make a representation using the bar graph or a line plot, and then determine if it's categorical or numerical data. So the way that my activities would align with the standard is the students would be accurately collecting data. They would have to work together to determine how to represent the data. Would it look better on a line plot or a bar graph? And then they could visually see the difference between categorical and numerical data. And then I could incorporate a writing piece where they could write questions to ask the other students about their line plot or their bar graph to see if the students can understand and read their bar graph. For the rigor and innovation, this would be a great way the students could determine which graph to use. Do they want to use a bar graph? Do they want to use the line plot? They could determine how to arrange it. It does allow for creativity, and it also allows for that collaboration. So this is just a really fun way. And then for an assessment, I could take the questions that the students have made and put them into a document, and then give it out as like a formative assessment just to make sure the students understand the difference between categorical and numerical data. And then also, can they read the bar graph? Can they read a line plot? Do they understand what each means? So it would just be a really fun way to do that. And then in conclusion, math is more than just numbers. It is problem solving. It is that real life experience. It is thinking about things that are logical, and it can be fun. It can be fun and creative. So my biggest challenge for me right now is when students want to know how to relate it. And so I love trying to think about new ways that we can use this in the real world. I hope you enjoyed my video. Thank you.